Okay, welcome Dr. Aranda to the Biodigital Convergence Transhumanist Report. Wow, you were someone really academically super impressive to me, and the spiritual side of you, I was just amazed at some of the things you're talking about on X, and I'm really happy, you've given us of your time, just to showcase like what you've done with your life and the work that you're doing. And of course, I'm really impressed with people that understand the scientific realm, a little bit of the legal world, and also the spiritual side of things, because to me that is of most importance. And it's an area where a lot of people just, in the academic circles just won't even go there, won't speak about anything. But to me, it's like just because you don't understand it, man, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And at least thanks to people like you, there's an acknowledgement of these things, and you're a person that clearly understands, I'm going to say, the threefold perspective of how all these things integrate together, meaning, just the science, the spirituality, and just even how the legality of things are all interconnected, and you're doing good work. So, first order of business, I'll go over your bio sketch a little bit here. Dr. Aranda, she is an MD, medical doctor, right? And she's got a PhD in forensic science. So, wow, that's super impressive. There's also, and also you're a reverend too. So, yeah, wow. And you've also got here CTP. I'm not sure what that actually means. Can you let us know what that actually means? And then you got FACFEI. I don't know what those
Right.
acronyms.
Thank you, Tom. And also, please call me Margaret. Everybody calls me
Yes,
Margaret.
of course.
The CTP is a certified tribal practitioner. When the Medical Board of California pretty much made me surrender my medical license because they came to my door wearing guns and such.
Are you
Uh,
serious?
Serious. They put
With
a
guns.
home. Yeah, they had their suits back and two people, and they apparently were wearing guns that everybody could see on holsters. They came to my office doing that. They came to my one house that had moved. They didn't know. And so they found me at the second house, and then they came doing the same thing. And so they left a letter underneath the mat by the front door. That basically asked me to surrender the entire medical charts of three patients without their permission. So, as you know, they wanted me to violate HIPAA regulations and patient privacy. So I refused. So I put my license in the mail and shipped it right back to them. And then
Wow.
the FACEI, that's a fellow of the American College of Forensic Examiners Institute. So that was a certification that I got in forensic medicine. I was grandfathered into it because of all my experience.
Wow. I mean, yeah, you spent a lifetime of study, right? And I've included all this in the write-up, and also you're an author too, right? I mean, you've got many books.
Right. Gave me, God bless me with the ability to write. And honestly, I started writing a lot when I had a traumatic brain injury.
Okay.
So my daughter and I were in a bad car accident, got T-boned by a lady who was going 90 miles an hour. So she spun our car in more than a complete circle, and we were facing oncoming traffic.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
my daughter was fine. She was only 2 years old. But it ripped an artery in the back of my neck. It banged my brain against the skull. It gave me all kinds of problems because of that. But there was a period where I couldn't walk or talk. I was an inpatient at Northridge Brain Rehab Hospital for a month. I had to go through 6 cycles of speech therapy to even say the word the. I started walking
Wow.
and took over. I inherited a medical clinic in 2017, 18. And you can tell that God completely healed me. I had dysautonomia POTS. A lot of VAX injured patients, they faint when they stand up. And nobody heard about it before that. So, like, all the doctors thought I was faking it. So, I recovered from that as well. And I was bedridden for 12 years,
Really?
looking at the
Wow.
ceiling.
Like you're wow. I mean, everything. Wow, that's amazing. Like, you're like a miracle, like a walking miracle, right? Like in every sense of the matter, right? Just with your intelligence, with your, yeah, your spirituality. Like, I mean, it's incredible. Yeah, and I can tell, right? You can tell when someone really believes and the faith is real, right? Just by the words that you speak. I mean, it's self-evident, right? Like, so wow. Okay, yeah. So we'll include all this, all your books. You've got your own business running now too, right? Like your own website, your own Substack. You
Yes.
name it, you're doing these things. Okay, but let's so basically the topic, is the current state of affairs with regards to, I call it the lawfare science and the spiritual warfare behind all these C19, what I call like tactics, like the fear mongering tactics, of course, too, right? Which led a lot of people, I mean, the mandates, the fear tactics to get I call it the unquestionable, like injectable, mandated, quote, holy water, right? Like, thou shalt not question, government sanctioned, C19 injectable holy water. That's kind of like a catchphrase I use now, right? Because I mean, it's just been a complete abomination from what I've read and the people that I've discussed, had conversations with. I mean, there's so many different facets to this too, right? Like it's just, I mean, where do you even begin? But yeah, so that leads into question number one, like, which is, like, what are your thoughts too on the current state of affairs with regards to, the lawfare of the science and the spirituality behind all this stuff? We can start there. So that's quite a
Yeah,
loaded.
that's a loaded question. It's a
It is,
great
yeah.
place
Yeah,
to be
of
able to talk about it too. Thank you.
course.
First of all, I think that the people of God have fallen away from depending on Him for things like healing.
Yeah.
It's very rare that you'll find a doctor that will pray with patients. It's very rare that a doctor even got taught to do it because somebody who was their attending physician showed them how they prayed with their patients. So, and I've had people tell me that they've asked their doctors to pray for them, like say before surgery. And some have said, no, I can't do that. I don't do that, which I think is really uh, unfortunate and very
Yeah.
spiritual deaf, right? But I think that it's up to us as people who follow God and do have a spirituality to bear in mind Second Chronicles 7:14, where God is saying that if my people who are called by my name humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways. This is not, non-Christians or not people. This is God's talking to his people. Then I will hear from heaven, forgive their sin and heal their land. So I like that as a reminder that, even if we profess to know God, profess to love God, that we still have to keep our eyes on him, especially when we see these other things going on in the world that cause fear,
100%.
right?
Yeah.
And that thing
Yeah.
go out with the 19, like you were saying, that drove, well, there were a few things that happened. One, in America, they lied about the hospital admissions for COVID and the death rate if you went into the hospital. And a bunch of us have been screaming from the rooftops to stay
Yeah.
out of the hospital because they'll kill you if you go in there.
Hmm.
And so they did that on purpose because in America here we have protocols where the hospitals. I have a list of all the states and how much the government will pay the hospitals per person if they admit them from the emergency room with a diagnosis of COVID, and if they put them on a ventilator and give remdesivir, give high doses of oxygen, and then
Right.
say that they died from either COVID or COVID pneumonia. They get ching ching, some up to $400,000 per person who
Is
dies
this
in.
still going on? Like, is this still
Yes, we have
really? Oh,
hostagehelp.com. We have ourpatientrights.com that has papers drafted by an insider lawyer nurse who used to work for a CEO of a large hospital. And they have drafted documents for when you can think, your medical directives, for when you lose that ability, your power of attorney, and instructions to the hospital. And those have to be done to the T. They have to be filled out, initialed, all kinds of things, and then notarized. And then somebody has to hire a courier to deliver it to the secretary of the CEO of the hospital and get a receipt for it, because then you have a legal receipt. Because here in America, we've had people that have given their doctors the medical directives and the doctor literally throws it in the trash can. And these same people were put on ventilators when they didn't want to be.
It's unreal. I can't believe this stuff is still like it just shows too that, you know, they're not listening, right? I mean, it's, what's it going to take, right? Like, because yeah, again, like, I don't know if you follow. I know there's lots of lawyers out there that are on our side, if I can put it that way, and there's lots of evidence, right? So I'm wondering, like, how is this being countered, like in the mainstream system of thinking and mainstream academia? This is still part of question number one. Like, how are they? Like, do they just dismiss? Like, there's so many. Like, even a name that comes to mind right now to Dr. William Mackis, right, and all the stuff that he's been raising like hell, like in Alberta here, right? Like
Yeah.
just yeah. I mean, like I don't know, like, and it just seems to
Well,
the
look at
system.
Macus. He's not only fighting the use of repurposed drugs that are cheap and maybe not so readily available because we have trouble getting a hold of them, but I'm very well aware because I wrote a Substack on it. I have an article on Twitter X on it too. That I think one of the real reasons that they're really going after him so hard is he has exposed the pedophiles in the
Yeah,
medical
that's right.
system and in the government and sees them giving licenses to pedophiles to practice medicine. I'm like, why can't the medical board go out and the state, government go out and bother the people that are actually true criminals that are harming children?
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. Yeah, because he's like yeah, he's been like I'd say a force of God in terms of accountability and exposing it's just mind blowing. It's mind blowing, and
Canada follows the same kind of I'll call this punishment through process. So
okay,
what they've done with another doctor in Pennsylvania, what they've done with Dr. Kirk Moore in Utah, who injected saline, salt water, instead of the
heard about that,
shots
yeah.
with
Yeah,
patient permission and informed consent, is they take people like Dr. Mack is, and they will put them through their legal system and give them all kinds of work. They have to pay lawyers. And I know he wrote a Substack where they wanted to fine him. I think it was $50,000 to $70,000, or they would throw him in jail. So he paid
yeah.
it. But here he is, saying I got kids.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know I haven't been following closely recently, but I mean, yeah, I know yeah, exactly. It's lawfare, right? It's basically bankrupt the individual, like mind you, using everyone else, like taxpayer funded. This stuff should not be allowed. I actually wrote my own medical constitution based on the things that I learned, like from listening to you to like doctors and everything. And it's just, you know, because to me it's about the evidence. Like if I was a judge, it's like it's about the evidence. It's about truth in science too, right? You say he's wrong, prove it. Like you got to prove it, right? You got to prove it using the scientific method that you worship, right? And that's the game to me. That's what this is all about. It's about you prove it, right? Scientifically, and let's see the counter arguments, right? Let's see the counter arguments what the doctors are presenting here.
You know what they do though, Tom? They're so sly and they're so evil that they don't, in all of these cases, they don't even take what Dr. Mackus is doing and say, you can't, write prescriptions for ivermectin, or you can't, like, they can't point to Dr. Kirk Moore and say, you can't give your patients informed consent to give a vaccine. They find another way of a criminal loophole around the back door, some itsy bitsy little non-relevant thing that they did in the process of doing that, because they can't get them on what they did. They try to get them on something else that's
Yeah,
some law that nobody knows about.
yeah. I mean yeah, that makes sense. But what? Okay, so I'm just gonna skip over to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Like, what do you like? Since he's been kind of made head of the HHS there, again, I haven't been following it too much, but I mean, so has there been any changes? Like, what do you know about what's going on with him being in that
Sure,
role?
that's a great question. I can tell you that it's been a roller coaster ride for a lot of
Yeah,
people. Bottom line that a lot of people come to because they're tired of the roller coaster ride is
yeah,
that they just want to get off, and they feel like whether you're on the left or on the right, they're both wings of the same bird, and both sides play each other, and they're all part of the same system. And they use the Hegelian dialectic, where they
Yeah,
create a
I know about that. Yeah.
direct to their own solution, and then they control the population that way. So, he's had some really great things he said he was going to do. He's been called a traitor because he, told people that the measles vaccine is still the best way to prevent measles, which is antithetical to everything he stands for, his books, everything. And then he fired all the ACIP, the advisor committee for immunization protocols, the vaccine schedule, pretty much. And then he hired people that are still part of the system. So it seems like every time people are like, yay, all these great things happen, then he does something else that says, oh, he's just part of the system. They're just changing the channel.
Okay.
So
No, that's
I feel like it's, more betrayal. They're all on the same side. And so we're becoming a little bit deadened to listening and allowing us to go to those extreme heights of happiness. We're trying to plateau ourselves out, and some people won't believe anything he says. They just don't like anything
okay.
he does. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, that's fair. I mean, that's your view on things, and yeah, like you said, like I've read some of his books, and yeah, you mentioned the ACIP. That's with the FDA, right? Am I correct? Is that?
Yes, that's actually, part of HHS and the CDC. I think it's
Okay.
more CDC than FDA, but it might be FDA.
Yeah, there's
And
one for the CDC too. Yeah, no, I know there's all these regulatory bodies. Yeah, I mean, but again, okay, if my way in on it is I realize, like you said too, like because if our society was being run correctly, it would be about the actual scientific evidence, right? Because that's how we determine what's to me is a fact in this whole. Because obviously, I'm just a guy, man. Like I'm a mechanic type, right? Like, but I understand. Like, for me to really understand something, I have to understand. Like, I look at the evidence to try to find the root cause, right? So I know when I don't know. Like, if someone just tells me something, okay, I can just accept what you say based on trust or intellectual laziness, or it's like, actually, Margaret, I want to see your work. Because once I've seen your work, then I can understand your thought process as to how you reach the conclusions that you've drawn or that you're projecting on others, right? So that's how it should be done. Because to me, in anything like with the system, it's like, okay, well, I need to see you say you follow the science. Okay, well, show me your work. Show me your research, right? Then, okay, I can see how Margaret reached her conclusions here. Yeah, I kind of agree with this, but this one here is a little bit, and that's a little bit sketchy, right? Like, but anyway, yeah. Okay, well,
I'll just say you remind me of a great example with the vaccines.
yeah,
So here RFK is saying there's never been any double-blind, placebo, saltwater controlled experiments where
yeah.
both sides are nobody knows what's getting what, and to say, okay, these children do better and these children do worse. Oh, open the box. Oh, these didn't get the vaccine, or these did get the vaccine, and these died, and this and that and the other thing. So everybody thought he was going to start, resetting the line with some placebo-controlled trials, when in fact, what they've done now is when they say they're coming out with a new vaccine, or they have a new one, which he approved, fast track for a new mRNA vaccine. What they're doing is they're saying, okay, this new shot compared to the COVID shot.
Right.
And
That's right.
not a comparison, that's not a placebo control.
No,
So
it's
they're
not.
saying, okay, let's introduce a new shot and compare it to an old shot that killed a bunch of people.
But see, people
So
don't realize this, right? See, it's a gross abuse of trust. It's like, man, it's
it's
like I could just go around filling vials. If I had a white coat and an MD in front of my name, I mean, I mean, I'm exaggerating here, but it's like, man, there's nothing but money to be made here, right? Like, I mean, I see that because it's very, very manipulative, right? Like, and I always think of the staff, the caduceus, right, with the serpents and the medical symbol. It's like Lord Almighty. It's like yeah, and that's actually showed in that X video that you posted. We'll get into that a little bit later, but yeah, it's very interesting stuff. And I realize it's not about condemning the entire system and everyone, but yes, there's
well,
incredibly.
But let's look at that statement you just said. The entire system and everyone inside of medicine. Let's just take that category. The doctors. I
Yeah.
have another article that tells you the Hippocratic Oath is another lie.
Why's
Everybody
that?
thinks the doctor took the Hippocratic Oath. They didn't. I
Okay, I didn't
graduated
know that.
90. Yeah, a lot of people don't know this. So once you know this, then you're like, oh, that's why they took this money. That's why they lied to me. That's why they're killing people. Because the Hippocratic Oath, written by Hippocrates, of course, was traditionally the only oath that every medical school was given. I graduated in 1990. So that was quite a while ago. And during our graduation class, before we graduated, we took a vote. Do you want to take the original Hippocratic Oath, make up your own oath, or modify it? We
Really?
voted to take the original. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Ask your doctor. Did you take the original Hippocratic Oath? So even if they did, realize it's not an oath to God. You're not swearing to God to do no harm. You're
Yeah.
swearing to follow. And the GODS with a small g, you're swearing to fake gods,
Mhm.
making a lie of an oath.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know that. Yeah, I did not know that. I thought that these
Well,
things
we're
were,
talking about money and having an MD and making money. The doctors in America that had clinics were getting, I have a letter from Anthem Blue Cross Insurance. They paid doctors per percentage of shots, COVID shots
yeah.
that patients had. So they were kicking pediatric children out of pediatric practices if they didn't want the shot. And some people, like Mary Talley Bowden in Texas, said, had she done that, had she kicked out all the ones and done the shots on everybody, she would have made $1.2 million in a year just from
Yeah,
that.
it's terrible, isn't it? Yeah,
Mhm.
the price for selling your soul is what I'll say, because you know what? You're going to be held, like you might get away with it temporarily is what I'll say. Temporarily. But you will never get, like in the end, like when the horror of your judgment comes upon you, which it will. See, this is the thing that people don't really realize. And again, there is time for repentance. There is time. Like that's the beauty of it all. But yeah, I mean, like these people are like that sold out for wealth. And when you used your title, your position, right? And it's like when it came time for you to stand up and do what's right, you did the absolute opposite. And to me, like, I mean, if you don't repent, right, like it is not going to be good for you because there's one, right, that knows what you've done to the degree that your conscience knew. It's all proportional to that too. You know, like I mean, there's a hierarchy of based on what you know, and then the violation of that knowing, if I can put it that way, because I know these things, but like it's but the denial is part of the deception. That's part of the game, right? Because some people, once they actually understand what they've done, will self-implode. They'll self-destruct because they can't.
You bring up a big point.
Sure,
You know,
yeah.
doctors have the highest suicide rate of any profession.
I didn't I didn't know that either. Yeah.
Are,
Yeah.
are the highest. Dentists, I think,
Yeah.
are not too far away, but out of those, anesthesiologists are even the highest profession because we see people fall asleep and we watch the drugs and all this other stuff. But what I have heard in America now, it's hard to find this anywhere, and I don't have resources or a link for you, but there have
That's
been
fine.
ICU doctors because of these hospital protocols that have shot themselves in the head in their office in the ICU. And then they get another doctor who comes in and does the same thing. So doctors are killing themselves in America. You just don't read about it
No,
because they
and
have that
go ahead,
reckoning
yeah.
that, yes,
I'm sorry, yeah. I no, that thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, yeah, I didn't know that. The highest suicide rates, right? And I guess because that let tells me in my mind, at least at surface level of things, that they kind of do know what's going on, but yet it's like, why not just stand up then, right? Why not just do what's right?
yeah,
Like why take your life in that way, which is terrible, when you could have just stood up and done what's right? Maybe you'll suffer in that manner, but people respect you for the rest of your like the truth seekers of the world, right? Like you'll
yeah,
get your a good reward for that too, right? That's what I don't. That's the sad thing too when people take their own life is that you really have ended it then, right? Like there's no coming back. Like from that to me, it's a
yeah.
shame. But yeah. Oh well, thanks for sharing. Yeah, yeah. It's
We're looking, like if there's any people in Canada or America that want to get a hold, I'm sure, of either one of us, and you want to be a whistleblower and you want to do like one other Dr. Reardon did, get behind a podium and apologize to the world for what you did. He
Yeah.
apologized for getting paid for those shots. He apologized for a list of things, forcing the vaccines on people. He was crying almost,
Well, that's
but
good.
more of
Yeah,
that, more apologies, and people love to hear that we all have sinned.
absolutely. I mean, to me, if yeah, like if he does something like that and he changes his way,
Yes.
that's acceptable. Like, because that's the fruit. Like, the fruit of repentance is change, right? It's not just the lip service, but it's the actual. That's the beginning of it. But then it's the actions you take. Like, even you think of Paul, right, and how he was persecuting and killing the Christians, and but he had his dramatic conversion experience, which God gave to him in his zeal, right? Because he legitimately thought he was serving God, but then, can you imagine? And then he just completely went the other way, right? So,
Yes, and that's exactly what happens. It's
yeah,
like being in the military, being in a
yeah,
war and fighting for one side. When you whistleblow or you apologize or you admit you were wrong and you change your ways and you take the
yeah,
other side, it's like it's like turning around and fighting for the other side is what you're
yeah,
doing. You'll
yeah,
still be
100%.
fighting. You'll just be
Yeah,
fighting for on the right side and not the wrong side.
yeah, I agree. And it's doable, right? You just have to come to terms with, it's like you have to swallow your pride, right? Like
Yes.
I've learned a lot of things the hard way, man. Like, you want to come talk to me about what not to do? Yeah, I can tell you all about that. But the good thing is that I kept going, and I've learned from a lot of big mistakes too. And but I can own it. And you know what? It's always a choice to me. Like, it's like you can self-destruct, or you can just admit it, own it, and learn from it, and use that to help maybe the younger people too, the next generation coming up, that they won't make the same mistakes, right? And I think that that's a good outcome from making mistakes in your own life, right? And then just giving yourself a little bit of grace too, right, is always a good thing, in the right manner, right? Like, once you've done the right things. But yeah, that's good. I'm glad to hear some of these
Yeah,
medical
yeah.
professionals that are, yeah.
Mhm. Take a negative situation and turn it into something positive, and that doesn't God specialize in that too?
Well, that's like, if you are a Christian, that's what real that's the beauty of it. Because with the old system, right, in the old covenant, I mean, the where a lot of people don't understand, it's kind of like, I always viewed Jesus Christ as the ultimate undercover boss. It's like leaving your glory, leaving your power. And see, the
Mhm.
world doesn't understand that. It's like, because they don't understand like what love really is. And that's why, to me, but he was missed, or he would, like, like, even though it was part of the plan, but like, it's if you understand love, like, and I always refer to First Corinthians 13, and if you read that, it's an exhaustive definition of what that actually really means. And because we've all fallen, and like, we all have a measure of grace given to us, and it is about repentance. And I believe you choose that. You choose how far you want to level up in life, or you can circle around in the wilderness your entire life. And
Mhm.
at the end of the day, it's going to be because of you. I believe in taking ownership of your life. I know there's certain things that do happen that are outside of your control. I get that. But ultimately, I've seen people that have had the worst of deals in life, and they've risen above it, right? And just because I think they just choose, it's choices. Like, I'm not a determinist. Like, I just believe that you can come out of it if you choose it. But I don't know. I'll leave it at that. But yeah. So, okay, let's
But you
go into number. Yeah, go
do.
ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
That's free will. There have been
Yeah,
doctors like Rashid Buttar, his last words before he was poisoned and killed, murdered. Uh, don't lose your free will. Keep your free.
exactly. And I'm glad you said, yeah, because you look at Dr. Yuval Noah Harari, one of these, what I call the transhumanist, the WF guys, right? Like, he said, oh, the concept of free will and all these things is over, and he made some significant statements. Most of us have heard them, but like, he stated that, and you got to understand that as our understanding of technology increases, which is a bad thing for human beings, in my opinion, because you always have like the potential for great good, and the good people will use it for good. But then you got the other people to worry about, like the ones that are going to use it. They use the knowledge, they use the technology for control systems, right? Like everyone uses it differently. It's quite interesting to see. And yes, ultimately, I believe that, Revelation 13, that's ultimately what I believe will happen because we're going to come into a world of complete chaos. And the only way is going to be this digital, like geofencing, this digital prison system, which I believe that ultimately, if you get the mark, I believe you will be forfeiting your free will. You'll somehow be integrated into this AI-driven system, and you will no longer be able to come out. That's my personal opinion on how, it'll come into being, and you will have to receive this, right, to participate. Yeah, like and again, religion will be defined by them. It'll be one world religion, one world economic system, one world government. And I mean, I know they're actively there's groups that are pushing for this, right? But if we say no, of course, right? I believe the time frames are elastic. That depends on our free will. Like people like yourself, people like me, everyone. If we just say we don't want this, it's not going to happen. But ultimately, I think it, if it's been prophesied and spoken of by God Himself, then it will happen, eventually. But
And I
I'll
think
digress
that's,
here. Yeah,
yeah, I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. If you look at the
yeah,
Bible, we're going to come to a
for sure.
crossroads and we have to be prepared to be the first in line to be beheaded if that's what it
Yeah,
takes. We have everything
yeah.
think we have on earth, right? And
Yeah,
and
I mean, ultimately, one thing I'll give credit to with some of my enemies is that they're willing to die for what they believe in, and I certainly am also willing to die for. You have to be. You have to come to that threshold because you will be ineffective, and you cannot be ruled by fear. Because in the end, we die anyway, right? Like so, we are going to die, whether it's through being a coward your entire life. Eventually, death will find you, right? Eventually, but and there's those that will sacrifice themselves for the greater good, depending on what it is. And everything is based on motivation to me, right? It's what the motivation is behind. Like some people will, you know, yield themselves over to the flames, if you will, become martyrs, but they did it for the wrong reasons. Like everything is weighed. From what I understand of the things of God, like everything is weighed. Everything you do is weighed. Like in terms of it's the quality of the motivation behind what you do. Like with it's not only your actions, but it's the quality of the motive, what drives you to do what you're doing. Some people it's power, some people it's money, and some people it's out of a genuine self-sacrificial love for others, right? It's very rare. But yeah, anyway, it's those are my thoughts. And now we're talking about all the God things, so I got that all stirred up. But yeah.
you know,
Okay.
I'll just say as at one point during my car accident when I was severely brain injured, I had an experience at a hospital emergency room where a priest was sent into me because I felt that I was about to die. That's why I went
Okay.
in. And he walked in carrying a little vial of oil and dipped his thumb in it and put it on my forehead, started making the sign of the cross. So I knew he was praying for me. I closed my eyes, and when I opened them, I was in my spirit going down that long tunnel. And at the end of Happy Tunnel, at the end of that was a bright sun. It was God, and He was 100% love. There was nobody but me or me and Him. He spoke to me, told me I could go up. I turned around, and there was the stairway to heaven, just like you see in all the pictures. We
Hmm.
all see the thing. Then when I got to the top, He told me I could go in. I could see my father in there running towards me, but I could also smell him. He had a particular scent, and and you don't dream, smells, so I know it was real. And I turned to God and I said, I felt very ungrateful. I'm sorry. I'm glad I'm going to heaven, but I'm not ready. Can I go in and then go back? He's like, no, if you go in, you can't go back. So I said, okay, then I'm not ready to go. Can you please let me go back to my daughter and uh, watch her grow up? And nothing happened. So I closed my eyes. And then when I opened them again, there I was back in the bed. Actually, the father was taking his thumb off of my forehead. So I had this whole conversation with God. But I can tell you, this is what they really want to keep us from. They want to separate us from an eternity with God. There is nothing in our lives more important. There is nothing that anybody can take away from us that is more important than being in the presence of God for all of eternity. The punishment isn't hell. To me, the punishment is separation from God and not being in His presence with His love. If we know that in this life, if we love somebody and they separate themselves from us, that hurts more than anything. that you can possibly have. So I want to emphasize that togetherness with God, that love, being surrounded by that pure love in his presence, where he makes you feel like you're the only one in the entire universe and he can spend all of his time with you, is, there's nothing that compares to it.
It's powerful. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Yeah, no, I think those moments are lots. It's just incredibly special too because it's like his special signature on your own life, right? And what he's doing in your life. And yeah, no, those things are powerful. Yeah, I've heard many people actually share stories, the out of body experiences. And I mean, there's so many different things happening, but it's not difficult for me to accept, uh, you know, those realities because there's so much that we don't know. But okay, let's kind of go into question number two there. Just, like tell me why you became impassioned and emboldened to stand against the government sanctioned, C19 injectable holy water is what I call it. Like how did you just summarize what was it for you like when this all started? I know this has been a long time ago now, about five,
Yeah.
6 years ago. But
Well, that's
yeah,
great
yeah,
because the when the okay, so when I first knew that something was wrong with the shots,
yeah,
I knew before the shots came out because they said there was a shortage of ICU doctors and they had openings. The state of California did. And I applied and nobody responded to me. So I knew there couldn't possibly be a shortage of ICU doctors because I was board certified, both anesthesiology and critical care, both trained at Stanford. So if they don't need me, then honestly, they don't need anybody else. I should have been one of the first ones they called. So I knew something was wrong. Then when
yeah.
the shot came out, the very first thing they wanted to do in California was to give the shots to the doctors and nurses and first responders. Why would you ever do that? So we can test, this effect in the very population that's supposed to save everybody's lives? Like, oh, we already know how to do that with ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine and vitamin D and a lot of other things. So why would we do that grand experiment on the very people that are needed to help the rest of the population survive? So that's when I knew that there was something wrong with the shot. Plus,
Okay.
after I researched it, I could tell there were no placebo trials. There's no package insert link.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
There's a statement that the FDA has on a website you're supposed to go look at instead of the package insert, but that means that nobody in an office really got informed consent unless they went to that website because there was
yeah.
no piece telling you the whole list of things. So I knew as an anesthesiologist there was something wrong with there not being any pharmacology told to people, as well as we didn't know the ingredients, how long it lasted, where it went after it was injected. But I can tell you that Fauci also in January of 2023 himself, with a group of a few other people, not a long list of names, silently and quietly published a paper in a main research journal saying we never should have thought that we could have a COVID shot that helped pneumonias because that's always failed with the flu shot, number one. Number two, there's no way that an injection in the arm can go to the lungs anyway. Number three, the way to fix it is to have a new generation vaccine that either is eye drops, nasal spray, or just aerosolized into the air. So that's when a bunch of us started thinking, so that's what they're doing with all these, planes
Oh yeah.
shooting. Well, yeah.
Well, yeah, oh yeah, that's a whole other. I mean, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, what's his name? Dane Wigington. I think that's his name. He's got a great website. Yeah, some of these guys are really on top of this stuff, and it's just mind blowing, like what's being allowed, and it's like it surprises me. It just shows me that the system's failing, right? Because we do have the institutions there, but it's it's like why the sellouts, right? Where are the people that are willing to make the sacrifices? The
A lot of the doctors in Canada, right? They tested the shot on the doctors too, and somebody's keeping a list of all the Canadian doctors that have been killed by the vaccine.
I know Macus had part of that too. He was keeping track of some of these things too. Yeah, he's been on top of it. Definitely the lead guy. Uh, well, in terms of like what's going on with cancers and yeah, like now the whole pedophilia thing and everything because they tried to destroy his life and I don't blame him. Like I mean,
Apparently,
you
actually
yeah,
invited him down to America, and he's had job offers from America, but he's
I'm
refused everybody.
really
He was
yeah.
fighting
Yeah,
in
we
Canada.
need him. I mean, but yeah, it's interesting. I who knows? Yeah, it's yeah, and he's up in this area too. Like he's done an incredible amount of work to raise the awareness, right? So he's done, yeah, and he's paid, yeah, he's paid a huge price. But to me, in the end, it'll be like the reward of what he's done to me, like will bear its weight in beyond gold, if you will, and the way I see it, But I know you suffer. Like people aren't used to that anymore, right? People aren't used to
Exactly.
like suffering, yeah, for doing what's right. Because yeah, you suffer for doing what's right. You do. In a corrupt
Yes.
world, you do.
And you know
Yeah.
what? If and I have I came up with this quote and I have a tweet on it too. If you haven't lost something in this fight, then you haven't fought hard enough.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, I mean well, especially doctors too. Any doctor that's I would say has sacrificed because you sacrifice your I don't know a lot of money, a life of quote unquote peace, if you will, right? Yeah, I mean yeah, but you sell your soul in the process, so you'll end up destroying yourself in the end. That's the way I see it. So yeah, no, it's good. No, I'm thankful, right? I'm thankful for you guys. It's definitely because I used to trust the system because
Yeah.
I just figured because I don't know, right? But now I've realized that it's just as long as I realize that I don't really know and that I'm trusting, yes, that's the right way of thinking because then when you start digging in and you start looking at the research and then you're like, okay, this is all like this big dog and pony too. It's all about the money. It's not really about health. It's about treating like, the outward symptoms at best. That's what I see. It's really not about because even if you find cures that are like, even this, with vibration and sound and all these new things that are kind of, well, not new things, but things we're starting to talk about again. I mean, it's really just about a big money-making machine, right? To keep the rich people like, it's just we're on hamster treadmills, right? And that's why I tell people just make sure you keep yourself in good health, like eat well, exercise, keep yourself going in the simplest ways like that for as long as you can, and don't get hooked into this white coat system that'll just I don't know. I'm not going to be a part of that, but yeah. Well, okay, let's go into number three then. Number three is just kind of highlighting the fact that you understand the interrelationship between the biochemical and biophysical and spiritual slash unseen realms, right? Because I look at it like everything kind of starts. Well, there's an unseen realm that we are not well aware of in the Western world, that's for sure. But we can observe the physiology of things, the biochemistry of things, but there's a lot that we don't understand that I believe, like when I say spiritual, it's kind of ties with the unseen realm too, right? Forces that are affecting the biophysical state of things too, right? And even I keep going back to vibration and sound, how that affects the physiology of things. They demonstrate that with how it affects water, right? And of course we are water, right, too. And there's so many things to discover to me. Like people think, oh, everything's been discovered. That is the furthest thing from the truth, man. There's so much more to discover. But okay, so yeah, and then yeah, it's that X post that you had. I'm gonna call her Pharmakia's demon possessed woman. You pinned at the top of your X account, yeah, and one of it's about a 6 minute video, right? But I don't know who the guy is, but basically he's praying over her and binding, I would say, the demonic entity within her. And this entity is speaking about the jabs, right? And how it's about deception before repentance, keeping people in ignorance, right, before repentance, right? Which I thought was really powerful. I'd never seen anything quite like it. So yeah, please talk about that a little bit. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Why do you have that at the top of your X post or X page? Because that's what drew me into you. Like, I was like, wow, she's a doctor and she's talking about all this stuff, right? I thought it was great, right? My
Yeah,
God.
you know,
Yeah.
well, I did that because of the shot. So there's this video of this demon possessed woman, which I'm assuming is a Catholic priest who's putting his thumb actually right here on the middle of her forehead, which is where your pineal gland is,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's right. The
Well,
third eye, they say. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And there's a second, or there's I think three women altogether who are possessed that he interviews, but he's asking her about the COVID shots, and she's laughing and saying, "This was a trick. You're tricked by pharmakia," just like it says in the Book of Revelations. How the whole world was deceived by pharmacopoeia, which the translation of that word is sorcery, witchcraft, and it exemplifies how far we've gotten from God, that they drove people to fear. This demon possessed woman says also that they're contracted with doctors and pharmacists that all align with their same purpose, which was a battle for souls, the
Yeah.
spiritual battle we're talking about.
Well said. Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, when you said a battle, really at the end of the day, if you had to summarize it all, it is a battle for souls between, I would say, the fallen ones that you can laugh all you want, but he doesn't care, right? So that's the thing, like with Satan, all that. If you don't believe that, he's got you. You're his.
Yeah,
Like whether you know it or not, doesn't matter what you think. Because at the end of the day, that is what it's all about. It is a battle, I think, with God trying, he never wanted this for mankind, right? But because we chose sin and we fell, and there's laws. There's laws with a holy, righteous God, there's laws. But see, that's the thing where Satan to me didn't understand. Like if he had known, I think it's written about that in the New Testament. If he had known, see, this is the beauty and the amazing thing about the sacrifice like Jesus Christ made. Because if he had known, he would not have had that man put on the cross because it did the very opposite of what he thought. He thought he had won by doing that, but he actually lost by doing that very thing. Because
exactly.
in the spiritual law of things, right, in God's perfect system, that was payment, right? For those who, I would say, those who repent, those who choose to come to him. That's it. And I mean, like, that's ultimately what I believe. It's been a difficult journey for me, though. Like, I mean, I found it very hard. Like, I'm not really, sometimes in the system of the church, you know, man, I struggle, right? Like, I struggle with what it is today. I know there's some really good individuals out there, but the system, I think we really need to become more so like yourself too, where we need to understand like the science of things too, right? Like and originally all these institutions, from what I understood, were set up by like Christian people, right, for the education of things, right? We can't just over spiritualize everything and just forget about the legal system and the scientific world. That's the problem I have and the criticism I have of the Western church is that we've become obsessed with money and materialism. We don't understand the science of things. And then the secular world, if I can put it that way, is basically taken over that area because it's just about understanding the physical world, man. There's laws, like just in the spiritual realm of things. There's laws. It's orderly. Everything is orderly. And just because you don't understand something doesn't mean you have to. It's like there's understanding to be found if you do the proper intellectual work, is how I look at it. Now, sometimes God will just reveal something. If God wants something done, he chooses a person and gets it done. It's like Moses. It's like if he wants something specific done, like don't think that you have, like he will get that done through the right person of his choosing, right? It's just in our pride and our arrogance to me in the church. It's all these leaders. It's like, man, you don't know half of what you think you know. And the pride in the church and materialism. If you actually read the New Testament, materialism was not held high at all. I'm not saying like I'm not against money, but with the Christian leadership, I am very critical of leaders. Okay, I'm not talking about the members of the congregation that have businesses. That is a totally different thing. But the actual people that you call yourselves, like the pastors, right, that are enriching themselves right through. If it's like, man, have you read the New Testament? I've read the New Testament, right, and I know what it says, and it certainly isn't like what a lot of people are teaching. Not at all. I guess we'll find out, right? God be the judge. But I don't know, man. To me, that's the standard. And like these people pretty well all died for their faith. And like they didn't have any New Testament. Okay. Like that's the thing. It's like if you read it, see, this is the difference between, see, we're supposed to be living representations of the transformative power of God. And to me, you become that in today's age, right? Like that's, we're reading an account of what happened 2000 years ago through an actual, real, genuine transformation that occurred in these men's lives, women too, of course. And it's an accounting of that. But it's like, and it shows how far, if you take that, that's the golden standard, and you look at what it is today, we're in trouble. Like as a overall whole, the way I see it. This is a very logical way to look at it because it's like, man, these people were not living for the material world. I'll tell you that. And the power of God, if you believe the accounts, was flowing through their lives. I wonder why, right? Well, you can say, oh, well, those days are over. No, 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 no. Don't make it that easy for you, right? See, everyone is always trying to take, why don't you take some responsibility and say that maybe it's because of how we are and how we think and how we approach life? Because I think if we really believed, our lives will align and we won't be so much so, yes, we got to go through this material time in the world, right? But I think it's because we have so little faith. But I think there's going to be new things too, God's doing with the new generations coming up too. I mean, God obviously is working. It's his work. But that's my perspective. And yeah, I've been very disappointed because I really genuinely was looking for something because I would read this and then you go to the actual institution. It's like, you, like for one, like I hate to say this, but some of the Christian people are some of the most, like I would say, I want to say stupid or like uninformed. Like they just have no understanding of anything. Like anything beyond like, don't you think God's speaking to people today? Like God still has a revelation for people today. It's just that you're unable you can't think outside of the box. It's like how can you like it's I don't know. You know what? I'm just gonna stop. Okay, so I gotta stop. But yeah. It's just I guess when I saw that video of yours, it actually made me cry because um in the sense of the sadness of what's happening in the world. And I saw that woman and how far we've gone because we're so proud with the technology that we have. And it's like I say that we become fools in the West, absolute fools in our wealth. It's like the quality of the human being. It's like that the soul quality, I say, like has decreased. Oh, our technology has increased. Yeah, I get that. But you watch out with the generations that are coming up. They have no moral character. They have no integrity. All the things that you need like to wield like a successful civilization like are falling apart. And like I like my prediction just based on like just simple observations is that we are not heading to good places unless we really repent of our ways and because the quality of the soul quality of the individual affects how you run your business, it affects how you are as a politician, it affects how you are as a doctor, everything. Like these are the most important things. And it's like it's all like a show now, like a commercial. It's like it's fake. I call it fakery. It's like we have all these institutions now, but we become weakened because it's like we don't actually really do. We don't practice what we preach anymore. It's like we're always changing the laws to fit our lives, right? To fit the money game that we're trying to do. Oh, my life's good. I'm making millions. Yeah, but you're sacrificing tens of thousands of people because of your product that doesn't even work. Like you know, the solutions are simple. It's just people don't want to do it. That's what I see. It's all like fakery and lies, and I feel like we're going to collapse. Um, I don't know when, I don't know the timelines, but it can't go on like this. Like with, and that's why sometimes our enemies are. If you actually read the Old Testament too, you know what happened throughout the generations, right? It's a really because as Israel disobeyed, they were delivered, unto their enemies. It's not like God wanted it. It's just, it was the consequences, right? And that's still ongoing today. We just don't realize it. We live such short period, little lives. We don't see the big picture because we're so focused on ourselves. We treat God like a genie in a bottle, which is an abomination to me. And like we've lost, like, because we have no leadership. Like to me, the leadership in I would say the Christian realm is very weak. It's very, very weak. Um, so here we are. Anyway, like I don't know. You're like when I'm talking to you, I'm just going on these rants, but it does make me sad because
Wonderful. That Christ came, just like you reminded me of C.S. Lewis and The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, how
yeah,
the evil there didn't realize that because the lion was innocent, if she killed him, then he
That's
would come
right.
back.
Exactly. That's great you brought that up. Yeah, actually, that and that movie shows exactly those, if we can call it concepts, right? Yeah, because that's exactly it. That's right. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. That's exactly what that movie says about Jesus Christ. Exactly. And that's the power, right? Because like God could take up his sword and just slay us all if he wanted to, right? Like more of like kind of like the Islamic mindset, if you will. It's but like there's no love there. It's like Jesus brought like the demonstration of God's extreme mercy and compassion and love. But it doesn't give us a license to just continue on in sin either. I mean, this is all discussed. It's all said. It's all there. You know what I mean? It's all in the New Testament. It's there.
And look at what Jesus did when he went to his disciples. He made them all lose their jobs, right? He took them away.
Yeah,
They
that's
had
right. Yeah.
jobs over him. And then they
Yeah, they
wandered.
did.
They
Yeah.
didn't even have a home. He was homeless. They
Yeah.
wandered all.
Yeah.
I lived in Turkey for a year, and in Turkey, there's not very many Christians. We went to the only
No.
Christian church in Istanbul, and there were guys outside with rifles out there,
Yeah.
because to be Christian in the Western world, you don't even have to suffer for being Christian,
No,
but
you
you
don't.
have plenty of other places. So we're a little bit spoiled that and the church is we're the bride of Christ. So the
Yeah.
more we meet with one another and help one another and fellowship with one another, the better too. But we need to definitely bring more of the lost into the fold, because it's not good enough to just be around people who already know Christ. We have to be around people that don't.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Yeah, you're like the godsend. I really respect like women that have found their good faith with God, right? Because I can see with you, it's really it's a part of the foundation of who you are, right? Which is great because it brings conviction, right? It does, and it helps. So yeah, I'll definitely include that link too. I kind of took a screen video of and you said that guy was a Catholic priest, was he, or a Catholic that
He was a priest. Yeah, they are
really,
good.
really. Wow, I would not have even expected that, right? I thought he was like an evangelical guy, but man, that was
Yeah.
interesting. It was just, I know it. You just know that it's not scripted. It's like you just know, right? You know that this is something that, but a lot of people will never. They just can't. They can't accept that reality, right? They just can't. It'll
Wasn't it interesting too that the demon knew the Bible, that
of
he was
course, yeah. I mean, yeah.
something will
I
be
mean,
revealed. You don't know when
yeah,
Christ is. That's in the Bible too. He's citing a scripture, and the demon is agreeing with him.
yeah. I thought it was really, yeah. I just thought it was great. Like it. I just thought it was fantastic. Okay, so let's go to number four. So let's talk about your website, books, vision, mission, everything about you. I mean, I know, like, yeah, like again, you got your Substack, right? You got your X account. Yeah, your just books, everything. So
Yeah. Yeah. So
yeah,
on Stack and the X account, I'm the rebel patient. That has to do with what I had to do to fight to get my own diagnosis and come back to life after being bedridden for 12 years. So that's at the rebelpatient.substack.com, and also x.com/the rebel patient. Then my website's a little bit long to remember, but it's on both my Substack and my Twitter. It's arandamdenterprises.com. And there's not very much on there, but I do give at the top of the page a lot of my credit to God for allowing me to live and to be here to fight, for COVID and for people. There's still the hospital protocols are going on, et cetera. So I've got a few books on Amazon. I have No More Tears, which is my near-death experience. It includes a whole chapter on healing verses. It tells my life story, the car accident, my conversation with God. I have a lot of memes in there too. It's full of encouragement, perfect for somebody who's chronically ill. They don't know what's wrong with you. I teach you how to fight, teach you how to, you mentioned this at the very beginning, how our words are important. We have to speak life. God spoke the world into existence with let there be light. He didn't, before he spoke, he had to see the light in his head. So our imagination, our thoughts, our pictures that we develop in our brain, seeing ourselves well, that allows us to speak about it because you speak about what's on your mind. So I go through that whole thing. How I got my healing is how you can get your healing too. So that's that one. And then I have a book on that's a guidebook to low back pain. That's also on Amazon. And I
I
believe these
saw
books are on Walmart.
Okay, no, that's great. Yeah, I'll put all that there too, so people can
Got a
yeah, they
couple.
can look into what you're doing. Did you want to go over anything on your website? I can pull it up if you'd like, but
It's not real exciting. You know, we could do it. We could go through it because it's got my books on there too. It's got
so let
some.
me just see here. Let's go share the screen. Uh, oh Lord, okay, I think right here. There we go. I pulled up the right thing. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Yeah, that's the right let's go to yeah. So this is amandaenterprises.com. That's the
Yeah.
home page. Yeah, I can scroll down here a bit. Okay, so
Okay.
you've got yeah, you go ahead. You talk about what you
So
want to
usually
talk.
you'll get a drop down that will take you to what is my best-selling supplement, augmented NAC, which is N-acetylcysteine. And then here you've got just my love for Christ and my compassion for fighting for what's right as the
Mhm.
rebel patient, and how Jesus is my Lord, my life, and my eternity. That's beautiful. And
Yeah.
then I go through, as you scroll down, a little bit more of that augmented NAC. There's only
Yeah.
one that you can get the manufacturer by.
Oh, I lost you a little bit there.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got you. You're back. Okay, good.
So this one is the best NAC, in my opinion, that's available. NAC is N-acetylcysteine. It's a precursor to glutathione, which is the most potent antioxidant in your body. So it basically can help your body heal. And this is a specialized version that helps at a lower dose that helps your body heal better than other versions. So this is something that people have taken after doing the COVID vaccine, and it they have laboratory tests showing it prevents blood clots. It also it reduces the concentration of spike protein. They have studied that in both blood and urine as well, and it makes vitamin C work better. It just has all these different attributes. And there's one nurse who had a 45% heart function, took this for 3 months, and she actually got back to normal, back to working full time in the hospital, and she thinks that this saved her life. So that's a really I have that first because that one has really been a lifesaver for people, and there are a lot of testimonials on that one.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean if that's yeah, that's what you're endorsing. Yeah. Oh, here's your
Yeah,
metagenics.
yeah, so the first one is the most important. That's vitamin D3 with K2, vitamin K2. So a lot of people, number one, don't know that they're vitamin deficient in the first place. And you can calculate your deficiency and estimate how much vitamin D you should take. But most supplements only have 1,000 to 2,000 IU's dose in it, which is minuscule. For example, for my weight and my height, I take 50,000 IU's a week. So this is the highest concentration of vitamin D that you can purchase without a prescription at 10,000 IU's in there. And the reason why you have vitamin K with it is because, as we know, when you drink milk that's vitamin D fortified, it increases your absorption of calcium, which makes your bones stronger. But when you take this form here, vitamin if you take vitamin D by itself, that increased calcium can be placed in your arteries and contribute to atherosclerosis, heart attacks, and strokes. If you add this vitamin K2 to the formulation, like you see in this bottle, it will take that increased calcium and put it in your bones where it's supposed to go. So that helps with aging and preventing falls and fractures that kill people, hip fractures
Okay.
especially. Yeah, so that's a good
That's
one.
good. Yeah,
And
so yeah, I mean obviously you yeah, if they're here then you're endorsing it and you believe they're
yeah, yeah. So the middle packet is a defense pack. So if you can't get ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine, that packet is going to have things like vitamin C, vitamin D, quercetin, which is structurally similar to hydroxychloroquine. And then you see on the right side, there's ultra potent vitamin C, which is really good for a lot of people as well.
Okay. Well, that's good. And people get an idea too of
And
what you're
I'll add,
promoting.
thank you. Yeah, I'll add that a lot of those also help cancer prevention, which is a big concern these days. Vitamin D.
Yeah, and I think Macus too, he talks about a lot of the products too you're talking about as well. It's just you can't keep up with everything, that's for sure, right? Like there's just
Yeah.
so much to know here. Okay, here's your
Yeah, that one box in the middle is like 6 or 7 different capsules. So they put it all into a travel pack for you. And then you're looking at my guidebook to surviving white coats in hospitals. This is to help. Number one, you're absolutely right. Stay away from doctors and stay out of the hospital. But you never know if you're going to trip and fall and break an arm and have a bone sticking out of you. So this helps you protect yourself against their protocols and empowers you with the legal documents in America that I hope would work in Canada too. That basically follow the same Supreme Court regulations saying a doctor is there are documents in place that'll help you. And that book is in press right now. I'm still writing it. So I
okay.
hope it'll next 6 months or so.
Okay, good to know. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So there's that. That was still in the process. Yeah, there's your guidebook to lower back pain. Yeah, I've had that for a while. It's probably
Thank
a good
you.
way.
Yeah. So this book, if you have 24/7 back pain, this book is for you. If you have same with neck pain, but I had a pain clinic. I assumed the clinic from Dr. Forrest Tennant, who was a specialist in spinal cord injury, specifically spinal adhesive retinitis. And then we found that almost every single person in that clinic with back pain also had Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a collagen defect that makes your skin really smooth and makes you a good gymnast or ice skater because they can contort their bodies, put their knees behind their neck, for example,
Hmm.
or flexible. But later in life, they'll have a lot of back problems, and then they'll have a lot of other issues as well. There's a long list of things, but that goes into everything from food to sleep, insomnia, relationships, because you can't be telling everybody about your back pain all the time or they'll get tired of listening to you, right? And
Hmm.
so it's how to preserve your marriage and cope
Oh, you
with,
get into that too, do you? Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It takes a lot of work. I mean, I know my wife and I there, I think we had our 17th wedding anniversary. We've been together 20 years, but yeah, we haven't given up on each other. And that's one of the main things is just working through all the problems and just honoring your commitments. I mean, that's a big one for me. I mean, even though like I've been, yeah, like I can tell you all the things that I've done wrong, but I think if ultimately you stay together, right, it produces something beautiful in the end, but it takes a lot of work, yeah. A lot of emotional roller coaster rides. Sure.
Yes.
Okay, so okay. Well, oh yeah, you've got these little kids books too.
I
Gotcha.
wrote 2 children's books for preschoolers. One is Little Missy Two Shoes Likes a Ladybug. It teaches toddlers how to enjoy insects and gardening. And so it gets them outdoors and gets them in their feet on the grass, right? And then once you get to know this little girl, when your preschooler has to go to school or they're home for Christmas vacation and they have to go back to school again and they're screaming and crying and throwing a fit, that one's there to prepare them to go to
That's
school.
good. Oh, that's
Yeah.
good. Oh, that's good. It's
And
good you have stuff for the kids too. Um,
yes. Hmm. And then
oh,
I encourage
organic.
grow your own. You can micro garden at home, grow things in little mason jars, and there you go. There's no excuse for not growing.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, you touch into a little bit of everything.
Yeah, there's you can buy the grains and packets of stuff and kits that have the mason jars in there already for you, and they ship all over the world. So even in the wintertime, you can have things. This is a heavy metal removal for aluminums and things like that that might have been in the vaccines. Well, we know there's mercury and different things and other ones. So a lot of people, you have to start out low and slow. This is a zeolite solution. A zeolite is formed when volcanic ash hits the ocean. So it's a natural compound. And it's
Hmm.
these manufacturers do it in a special way that's very nice. It forms a honeycomb kind of structure that pulls in the positive ions from the metals and carries them out of your body in your stool.
Okay. Yeah, I've been losing you a little bit here and there. I don't know. But
Sorry
I've got
about.
you. Yeah, you come back within about 5 seconds, which is good. So that's
Oh,
good.
good.
Yeah.
So that one you just have to take that one low and slow so you don't get too sick because it works so well.
Hmm. I've heard about the Roots brand, yeah, and all that stuff too.
Mhm.
Oops, hold on here. Okay, yeah, and you get into the EMF side too. Yeah, that's a whole other, that's a huge topic in and of itself. But
Yes.
a few things. What do you want to say about that?
Oh, yeah. These are just some things you can put your cell phone in and different things like that. They sell
With the
everything.
Faraday, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
there you go, your
They have
Faraday.
even like a bed canopy so you can protect yourself from extraneous things when you're sleeping. And that's just, yeah, it's a big consideration for a lot of people. And
Okay.
then a course you can take so you can learn how to defend yourself constitutionally in America.
That's always good too, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean, a lot of people, yeah, I mean, you're always relying on someone else. Like I feel like as much as you can learn, learn. Just spend your life learning things. So yeah, you can't be taken advantage of. Okay,
Yeah.
that's your book again. And you can
Uh,
contact yourself. Yeah. Okay, well, that's good. I'll stop sharing the screen here. Okay, yeah, because I mean, basically, question number five was just a little bit about your solutions. So obviously, with you, if I can summarize, that's there's the God factor first and number one, and then also, yeah, you get into some of the things that are available that you're endorsing, that you're promoting, that in your understanding that they're good for using, right?
Exactly. And in full disclosure, I'll say that my ministry gets a small commission out of some of those products, and I don't get a
Okay.
salary. We use that to help people that can't afford care.
Okay, no, that's good. Yeah, no, I always think that that's yeah, there's not yeah, and that's good. Always being transparent financially too is a good thing in my world. Because I mean, of course, too, yeah, people need money. People need money to do what they're doing too, right? Yeah, you never know anyone's like how that really the workings of that are, but yeah, transparency is good for that. So, okay,
I'm a member of other organizations that give you affiliate links and allow you to get a commission. And I have highly vetted them. But if I have seen, and I have, that they're lying about something, I'll pull myself out of it right away. And I've done
that's
that.
good. Yeah, like in the end, I know there's guys out there that if they can find one thing wrong with anything, like they're done. And it's a difficult world to navigate. Like for me. You got to do the best you can with the God-given conscience and the knowledge you have. And even if you do find error and it's like biblically, that's what we're supposed to bring it up to each other's attention, and maybe that can be corrected, right? And this can be applied all throughout the business world. God forbid we do that, right? But because I do believe that we can actually make money doing the right thing. Like that's one thing that I preach about a little bit. It's like you can make money doing the right thing. You can actually become a millionaire doing the right thing in business, right? You don't have to. But again, that's for the thinkers out there is creating like business models and like corrective action. I'm going to say even legislation, but policy, right? Where okay, if we find something that is wrong and you did the right thing but it doesn't destroy you, but there needs to be like new systems in place where okay, if a company actually acknowledges there's something wrong here, because the first thing they're worried about getting sued to the yin yang. And then see this is the problem with how things are set up, because it fosters the lying. And it's like that's why you need to obviously do your homework well and your research well in the beginning before you release anything. But do you understand what I mean? Like this is some of the problems we're facing today. Because what if a company does recognize, yeah, okay, but what are we going to do here? And I don't know, right? These are the things we need to think about today.
Yeah. Well, if
So
they find a mistake, they won't tell you about it usually in America
yeah, that's
because,
right. Yeah,
dude,
because
won't
it
they?
costs you. Yeah, yeah. But it's good that you do that. It's good that you do your due diligence. I think that's important, because then you're keeping in good conscience too. And that's how I see that it needs to be. Okay, I lost you again a little bit, but Margaret, I want
Right.
to thank you for your time. Is there anything else you'd like to just share in closing?
I just want to share that no matter what your problems are, no matter how bad you feel about anything, no matter if you can't get out of bed for 12 years, like it was for me, that God is there and he can rescue you from the lion's mouth. So never give up on God.
Amen. Yeah, and thanks for those words, Margaret. I appreciate your time. And again, you can find her on X. She's got the Rebel Patient Substack. Take a look at her books, her website, and yeah, thanks very much for your time and just for what you've done. And I really deeply appreciate the fact that you use your academic and intellectual credentials, right, for the greater good. And I really respect how you've integrated that with your faith in Jesus Christ. I mean, that's the way it should be with all of us. So, again, thanks very much for your time and appreciate your thoughts and insights.
Thank you, Tom. I've enjoyed all this discussion with you. I love jumping around and bringing
Yeah,
everything back. It's beautiful.
for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. No, I'm happy to hear that. Yeah, thanks very much for your time. Take care now.